right. And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Today's Weather Tonight. Here, as always, I am your meteorologist. That's comedian / meteorologist, Cloud Hudson. And I'll be bringing you tonight's top weather stories, in addition to a roundup of what happened yesterday as well. We did not have an episode yesterday due to the vibes being off. That's it. The vibe wasn't right yesterday. Okay. Let's go ahead and start off by taking a look at our volcanic activity. Oh, and I did, yeah, I was going to say, I did finally see the new Rearcast hazard map update. Everything's back to just land subsidence and there are no signs of glow from the active crater, which is good, even though there are no steam and ash emissions, which indicates that this is done erupting for right now. This was the largest eruption in terms of volume and area of lava. However, it is anticipated that older lava will continue to flow slowly along Slingerfell on the north side at the defense wall, where the lava has overflowed the berms. It's overflowed the berms into the Svartsengi power plant area. Instruments detected another ground deformation several days after the eruption ceased, indicating an accumulation of magma within the magma chamber. Then we had Mount Kamchatka's explosion caught on film here. The ash emissions reached 9,000 feet and 12,000 feet. Looks like a very decent performance. We're in the eruption state at Samiru, and Sungai had discrete volcanic ash clouds observed. So did Reventador. Let's take a look at everything here. Stromboli in the Aeolian Islands in Italy. The small lava flow on the Sciara del Fuoco seems to have ceased. This is the thermal energy of that. Small lava flow at Stromboli's Sciara del Fuoco. A new lava flow began to spill out from the BN1 crater terrace yesterday on the 23rd. This resulted from an intense and strong spattering from the northern crater vent area starting around noon. Both the lava flow and continuous spattering are still continuing this morning. Let's see if webcam will load for me. Sometimes it doesn't. Live Stromboli. Makes me hungry for pasta. Stuffed shells or something. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know why, but sometimes these webcams don't like me. Mount Etna in Sicily, Italy, has continued ongoing spattering from the Vorgine fissure vent. It is intensifying, continuing to eject hot, juvenile, and molten lava clots that have in turn piled into a new, steeper-sided spatter cone. Karimsky or Kamchatka, that is going strong, as is Lewotobi. All these we see on screen, our usual players, are going well as well. Back to the 23rd, though, That's when we got our first official end to the effusive eruption of the Reykjanes Peninsula's active crater. The civil defense drone detected no activity. However, there is still lava oozing out of the flow that has already been ejected and is still molten on the surface. So while there's no more coming out of the vent, there is a little bit of settling and sinking to do from the already emitted lava. And that is why they have ongoing cooling efforts where it's over top the berm. Okay. Interesting. Before we go into the earthquake update, I thought I'd share this article from physics.org. New findings challenge traditional beliefs about the causes of earthquakes. This is a recent study that came out of Brown University, and this implies that the geometry of the fault zones is more important to the size, intensity, and way that an earthquake can be felt, and whether an earthquake will happen in a certain area or not. The arrangement of the fault lines and how similar or different the fault line orientations are to each other is, according to this study, very relevant to where earthquakes pop up. So that's a really exciting, I think that's a really exciting work. They had a good analogy of like thinking of fault lines that brush up against each other as having serrated teeth like the edge of a saw. Where there are fewer teeth or the teeth are not that sharp, the rocks slide past each other more smoothly, allowing for creep, where yes, the earth is moving, but it may not release so much of an earthquake. It'll just kind of slowly creep along, like we see in areas with a lot of low-level earthquakes, where it's just a little bit moving every day. But when rock structures in these faults are more complex and jagged, these structures catch on to one another and get stuck. When that happens, they build up pressure, and eventually, as they pull and push harder and harder, they break, jerking away from each other and leading to earthquakes, bigger earthquakes. So that is really exciting research been going on, because I've always felt this instinctually that that definitely makes sense, because that's how things move. While I'm looking at our headlines, we also have seen a huge uptick in heat-related visits to the ER in the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore regions in Northern Virginia right now. The CDC says that we have exceeded the 95th percentile of what is typical for heat-related emergency room visits. That was 286 per 100,000 residents, all the way up to 1,160 visits per 100,000 residents. So that is a lot of people suffering from heat-related illnesses. And that's really unfortunate, because this is just the beginning of summer. Speaking of unfortunate weather, we've got some video of the floods in Las Vegas, New Mexico. You can see people obviously not turning around, don't drowning, but they have decided to just keep going. Also, a really cool phenomenon. This was filmed last Thursday on the 20th, but it just went viral. And this is a hail flow. This is hail that fell on the ground in Nebraska, western Nebraska, from, you remember last Thursday's big old storms in the plains. This is from those super strong updrafts and hail that was associated with that storm being mixed in with surface water runoff, looking like a weird alive creature, or like an ice lava, hail lava flow kind of looking thing. That was just a really cool. I always say climate change may be scary, but it's gonna look very cool. It's going to have cool new features, like so much hail from a storm that we see a lava-like flow across the surface of this, just like a mudslide of ice, really. Additionally, we've got a Saharan dust cloud that will be settling into the Gulf area soon. We've got this Saharan dust cloud making its way across the Atlantic and should put a damper on the main formation zone that we've seen our tropical season working from this far in the season. But that also means that allergens and irritants to your respiratory tract are going to be elevated. Everybody's gonna be coughing in Florida, and it's not because they're COVID deniers. It's gonna be a different. There, in addition to the heat, there's also about to be a whole lot of weird hazy dust irritating your throats and nasal passages. I'm sure that people in Florida have great nasal health. I'm sure that they don't do any habits that would put their mucosal membranes in a more vulnerable state anyway. But just in case there is somebody who, I don't know, regularly abuses their nasal cavities, this dust cloud coming to Florida is probably going to irritate your ears, nose, throat area. Especially if you have asthma or pre-existing conditions in your respiratory tract. Pre-existing conditions, maybe including long-term lung damage from a global pandemic. Something I'm sure Florida wouldn't know anything about because they didn't have a pandemic in Florida. Los Angeles, it made headlines that Los Angeles was shaken by a 2.9 magnitude earthquake Monday morning. Here's some safety reminders. Very interesting when you think about our new earthquake study that just came out. It's very interesting that just a 2.9 and 3.2 are being reported as being felt in East LA today on Monday, when we've seen that magnitude of quaking in the area for days now, but we're just now getting headlines of it. I forgot to look at the reported, when I was on volcanoes today, I forgot to look at the earthquakes. Is that going to show me? Strongest today, a 6.3 in Vanuatu. That's exciting. Looks like we were low on quakes today, but yeah, let's take a look at what was reported as being felt. I mean, all across the Pacific coast of Mexico, but here in southern LA, we've got a lot of reports. One of them as recently as 20 minutes ago, a magnitude 2.1. These are all around. Yeah, these are very recent, from 5 hours to 20 minutes ago, all around Lamont, California. 3.5 people saying that they did feel it. So that is pretty significant, honestly. We very much an average day for number of quakes, but we did have a large quake here. So let's go to a widely felt earthquake, a magnitude 4.6 in Costa Rica, at 3 kilometers depth was, 3 kilometers away from San Jose, maybe. Widely felt 5 hours ago. So let's open up Earthquake 3D and see it. Hello, Kaylee. I'm happy to see you. I'm sorry I wasn't here last night, but I am back now. Oh wait, I picked the wrong. There we go. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. Thank you. I appreciate it. I am looking at Earthquake 3D now. Let's see. This Costa Rican quake showing up on here or not? 4.6 is not showing up here yet. That's interesting, but we're showing all these 3.2s. Oh no, Costa Rica is not there. Costa Rica is over here. Just kidding. But where's the 4.6? Still don't see it. Go back and look at it on the map. It should be right here, but I'm not seeing that reported on my feeds here. But we did have multiple 4s throughout Mexico again. We've also got San Antonio quake at 2.0. Our West Texas stack of quakes is continuing to go strong, as well as our Oklahoma quakes. And another one in the New Madrid seismic zone at 2.3 at 6 kilometers depth. I'm actually going to turn on 2 days at a time so we don't miss any. Because, yeah, yesterday we had near the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We have a 2.1 just here on the Tennessee-North Carolina border. That is an area where apparently there are feral people. I've just learned this. I just heard of this. Quite scary, but also impressive that people are able to survive out there. And I think that's really awesome, actually. Okay, so taking our intensities way up, we got this 4.0 and 3.4 right here in LA. We've got the 3.5. This is the Lamont. No, this is west-southwest of Salton City, California, which is an area near the Salton Sea. This says it's near the Borrego Badlands, just on the west side of the Salton Sea. And the Salton Sea is a lake that is surrounded by volcanic mountains. So it's a very tectonically active part. Then up back, that's the Salton Sea quake, that 3.5, and the most recent 0.9 right close to it. Then we had a 4.0 and a 3.4. Yeah, that's the one near Lamont, California, I guess, to the northwest of LA. But other people in LA, let me take my magnitudes down so we can see the 2.9s. Yeah. Everything above a 2 here. You can see they did get quite a few right here in the middle of LA proper. And then there was a stack of them here, actually, in Lamont. Also got a 3.1 up near Salt Lake City. 3.6 and a 4.3. Is this at the geysers? No, this is Laytonville, California. Laytonville, California's got some new ones. Let's keep going. We got a lot of activity to cover. Let's keep going. As we get into, oh my gosh, yeah, there. Look at the size of that stack. My God, that's all. Yeah, I think that's the one from the geysers. Yes, our stack from the geysers, California, is still very, very strong. Lots of rumbling going on out there. As we move into Alaska, we've just got a whole bunch of 1s and 2s level quakes. As we go above 2 into maybe 3, we've got this 3.5 and 3.1 here, 3.2 down here, and a 3.8 all the way up here. These are at around 10 to 30 kilometers depth. Then we had a 3.5 out on the Aleutian Island chain, right at that climax point, the local minimum of this curve. Then, speaking of a local maximum in the curve, we had one right on the local maximum of the curve near the Kamchatka Peninsula, a 4.1 at 10 kilometers depth. East southeast of Ust. Let's see. Then a 5.2 actually closer to the mountains themselves on land. That is at 131 kilometers depth, so a pretty deep one. That's a large 5.2, and that was yesterday. Then as we work our way down to the H-shaped plate boundary at Japan, we're looking at more 5.0s, this time at 55 kilometers depth, a 4.5 at 70, 4.2 at 60, and today a 4.0 at 396 kilometers depth right here at the top of the Diamond Philippine plate. Then on the other corners of the Philippine plate, we had 4.8 along this edge, and 2 quakes here right next to Taiwan, a 4.1 and a deeper 5. Deeper than a 4.1 at 4 kilometers depth and a 5.1 at 22 kilometers depth. Then as we head into the Philippines, we're seeing our 4.9s again. And a 5.9 here in the middle of, let's see, where are these located? What island is this? It doesn't want to tell me it just says in the Banda Sea, which that's all I could have told you anyway. Then out here off the coast of Australia, we had a surface 3.2. And as we head down to Perth, we had 3.4 at the surface and a 2.0 and 2.1 at the surface. Then over here on the East Coast, yesterday, we had a 2.2 and a 2.5, both at the surface again. Now, our big quake for today, this Vanuatu Islands quake, a 6.3 at 150 kilometers depth and a 6.3 measured at 156 kilometers depth. That's our big boy for today, I think. So I'm excited to see if that moves, if that energy shows up anywhere else on the planet. We've also got a 4.8 in between that and the next stack of quakes, a surface 5.4 and a very deep 5.1 at 588 kilometers depth, and a 4.8 on the other side of it. You see 2 4.8s flanking really just about equidistant from the center of these deep and shallow quakes, and the 4.8s are, you guessed it, at 10 kilometers depth. And that was after this 6.3, but both of those today. Then we had a southeastern China quake of 4.3 here. I think this might be in an area where they're experiencing flooding. Always interesting to note that. Coincidental flooding and earthquakes happening at the same time. 4.3 at 10 kilometers depth, a 4.8 at 14 kilometers depth. We got a 4.6 up here on the border region. Actually, no, that's in the heart of Xinjiang province in China. Then we've got 4.3 at 131 kilometers depth here in Kyrgyzstan or Tajikistan. I'm not sure which one we're in there. Let me check. Yeah, that's Tajikistan. Then in Afghanistan, we see a 4.0 at 202 kilometers depth and one at 91 kilometers depth. As we move through the Mediterranean, I didn't miss any Arctic ones, did I? No, not yet. Not until we get over to the 4.6 at the South Sandwich Islands region, our favorite area. We got a 3.5 up here towards the in the Eastern Caucasus. The Eastern Caucasus Mountains. I don't know what country that is. I think it's Georgia. Then in Greece, again, lots of little tremor level quakes, but also 4.7. Check this out. 4.7 and 4.8. Greece is heating up at 10 kilometers depth again. and a 4.7 and a 4.8, and those are kind of spaced out from each other. The 4.8 and 4.2 are on the southwest side of Crete, and the 4.7 is as you get up into the Turkey area. So I guess the 4.7 was in Turkey. And then there's threes around those. Then as we add in our tremor level quakes, you can see it really populates. Let's go look down here. We had that 4.6 at 10 kilometers depth here at the snout of this little serpent-shaped feature underground. The South Sandwich Island chains, or near Mount Michael. Is that what it is? Just says South Sandwich Islands region. And there are frequently quakes in this area. Then in South America, we had a 4.6 in Argentina at 219 kilometers depth, and a 5.1 at 29 kilometers depth. There is a 6.0 from yesterday that I missed here in Venezuela, right on the coast. And there's our 4.6 in Costa Rica. So I bet people felt that one, and I bet people also felt the 6.0 in Venezuela. Well, maybe not. It was a 6.0 at 87 kilometers depth, so they could have gotten out of feeling it, but I don't know. Okay, now let's dig into this juicy atmosphere that we got out here. Make sure I'm still broadcasting correctly, right? Right. Okay. Okay. I don't want 250 frames. Let's go with like 75. So down here, let's start with the southeast update. We've got this lingering offshore convection giving some really intense thunderstorms to the Myrtle Beach, Wilmington area, as well as the central stretch of the Florida Peninsula. Kind of this diagonal line from Jacksonville to Tampa. Then, as we move on along, it's really up here in the Northeast, they're still getting rain, and down in the Southwest, they're still getting a lot of rain. Looks like we've got over 1,000 customers out, nearly 2,000 customers out of power in Yavapai County in Arizona. And we've also got, just near Prescott, Arizona, we've got a flash flood warning, radar indicated considerable threat. Right near Flagstaff, we've also got radar indicated considerable flash flooding warning between Kaibab Estates West and Sedona, between Williams and Sedona, or between the Chino Valley and Flagstaff. If y'all know where that is, let's see what the warning is for. 2 to 4 inches of rain have fallen. Flash flooding is ongoing or expecting to be going on today. Life-threatening flooding of low water crossings, creeks, normally dry washes, and roads. Be very careful at any swimming holes or creeks or anywhere that could be washed out very easily in a sudden thunderstorm. This is also probably a time where a lot of these usually dry canyons in national parks could rapidly fill up with water. So if you've got a hiking trip planned, I don't know why you would want to go out there at one of the hottest times in the year, but if you've got a hiking trip planned in the Southwest, please make sure this is not one of the areas that will wash out when there are huge rains, because it is that monsoon season. We're getting that monsoon type of continual moist air washing over these typically desert biomes. We are also looking at over 1,000 customers out in Lincoln County. That's the one right next to Roswell, the one that includes Ruidoso, where the recent wildfire was followed by a flash flooding event that caused a lot of people to get stranded in their cars. Then, as we take a look, follow this air mass up through the plains, we've even got a special weather statement for Lamar, Colorado. As we go, there's a little bit of a system here hanging out in northern Kansas. Then really South Dakota is where we are seeing our biggest severe thunderstorm warnings. Warned for hail of up to an inch. Hail of up to an inch and winds up to 60 miles per hour. So if you live between Rapid City and Pierre, be very careful. Be aware. Be weather aware. Scary weather out there, guys. I know some clouds look happy and fluffy, but these clouds gonna look real scary, could sound real scary, and actually could do some damage. Imagine somebody throwing an inch chunk of ice at your head at 60 miles per hour. You'd probably die. You know, it's one of those things where you don't want to go outside without a helmet. One of those kinds of storms. We've got an interesting mesoscale discussion area here near Minneapolis. Watch issue 80% likely. And we do have a watch issued. Winds under 50 miles per hour, but hail up to an inch, quarter size hail. And then here near Hibbing, we've also got another big line system that is sweeping through. Really, it's looking nasty up here into Canada too. But this is an area where they are currently, I want to point out this specific flash flood warning, because this one near Mankato is actually from a dam failure. The dam failure of the Rapidan Dam has caused warnings to be issued throughout this entire river valley, and especially including Mankato area, and everyone downstream of this, because the hydroelectric dam here has been overtopped and breached on the side of the Blue Earth River. So throughout Blue Earth County, Blue Earth River, Lasur River, and Minneopa Creek. These are all areas where if you are in a low-lying area, you should get the fuck out of there. At 4:20 p.m. Water continues to erode one bank of the Rapidan Dam, causing Blue Earth River to bypass the dam uncontrolled. So that's even though you don't see rain here actively falling right now, this is still a flooding event, an ongoing flooding an ongoing flash flood warning currently occurring southwest of Mankato, Minnesota, because the dam, like when a river swells so greatly behind a dam that it goes out the sides and around, that erodes the earth that the dam is built into. So if the earth the dam is built into erodes, then nothing's gonna it wears away the earth. It wears away the earth. So if there's no earth to hang on to, the dam's just kind of a wall that water goes around. So it's really flooding a whole lot. Hi, Jenny. We're glad you're back. I hope that you got through Alberto all right. I'm glad that we could keep you weather updated. But we missed you. I'm really glad to see you on the stream tonight. let's see, what else was I talking about? What have you missed though? There was a 6.0 and a 6.3 today and yesterday. Today's 6.3 was in Vanuatu Islands, and yesterday's 6.0 was on the other side of the globe, was it? Yeah, the other 6.0 was in Venezuela. Actually, I'm going to turn these. Are these on opposite sides of the planet? I'm looking up if Venezuela is opposite where this 6.3 is. No, the antipode of Venezuela is more like the Philippines, and the antipode of this 6.3 is more like more like West Africa, actually. So they are not exactly opposite the planet from each other, but still cool. Oh, I got distracted. I didn't show you what I was looking at in Earthquake 3D. So I just wanted to check if those earthquakes I updated you about were opposite each other on the planet, but they are not. Got a new special weather statement up here in northern Minnesota. Winds up to 40 miles per hour and nickel-sized hail. This is looking a little gnarly for northern Wisconsin here too, just near Hayward. They have now increased this to $half size hail, or at 1.25 inches. And Chicago not getting out of this unscathed. Everything that was in Milwaukee and Kenosha earlier is kind of dragging down towards the southeast on like this path from Madison to Chicago. So right around the lake edge, Chicago's getting hit. Okay. There's still so much ongoing flooding everywhere, and let me take you to images of the dam failure. Where did I do it? Yes. Okay, this is the dam failure in Minnesota's Rapidan Dam. You can see so this is what I was talking about. When a dam holds back so much water that it overtops the banks or goes around, like when there's a flood behind the dam and it goes around the side, it eats away at the earth. Look at the sheer power of this volume of water. That's what creates the hydroelectricity, is the potential energy being converted into kinetic energy inside of the dam by turbines. But the sheer power of that, when it's unleashed onto the earth itself, will carve away big chunks at a time. Like, these are rapid changes. It's not just like over thousands of years this was eroded away. No. This is like this entire chunk was normal land and now it's a canyon side. And that is part of what the dam was built into. So they were already thinking about tearing down this dam. This might put the dam out of commission for a while. Because I don't know if you can tell, it's inaccessible from this side, which is the service road to it. There's already been a building swept away, and lots of the debris here is also what kept this. The debris was really the first problem. All this debris from the flooding washed towards the gates where the dam would usually let enough flow through in order to avoid this flooding situation. But since they had this big debris pile up near the gates, they couldn't get a good enough flow out of their control gates in order to avoid this washing out situation. And you can see that really well from this angle. It's just, man, it's gnarly. Wow, 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 wow. So that is why we've got a random flood warning in the middle of Minnesota. Let's take a look at our rainfall rates, because my God, in the past week, 168-hour precipitation, we are well into the 4 to 10 inches range in many swaths of South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. This is the kind of rain that led to that flooding at that dam failure. And it's not even the only place that we're seeing that. I mean, this upper part of Minnesota and the UP of Michigan are also getting in this, as well as Lake Superior. Then we've also got Panhandle of Oklahoma getting in on the over 4 inches party, as well as South Texas and Eastern Florida. This is where we had that Invest 92L kind of making its way on shore and fizzling out. This is all the remnants of the Alberto movement of air from the Gulf tropics onto the Four Corners region. And this is all funneling into the upper plains severe weather. And then just in the past 72 hours, we've seen a lot of rain dumped in that northern Iowa, southern Minnesota region, as well as Nebraska. Then, and again, continued rain in the Southwest where they really don't need that. And over the past 24 hours, our precipitation has looked little more sparse, actually performing pretty well in Maine. And it is slowing down, but again, these are areas that are very inundated with water and don't need this much rain. I want this rain to come down to the mountains again. As you all know, I don't know if you guys know this, but I love when it rains. I love the rain. It makes me feel good. And it has been very dry since this heat wave came to the eastern half of the country, and I'm ready for it to not be dry. I'm ready for hot, sweaty summer rain, but I can't complain too much because it is staying really nice here. I don't know if you guys know this. Let's take a look at our temperatures. I live in one of the most climate stable places in the world for resisting climate change because of intense biodiversity and rugged wilderness still existing, impenetrable to it's a little more untamed in the mountains. And that is better for resisting the effects of climate change than a highly urbanized area. Also, the really high elevations of the Rockies are going to remain pretty temperate throughout climate change, but they don't have quite as much rich, thick, mesic forest out there. They have more rocky, dry biome types, and those are not going to be quite as good at retaining moisture, so they're not quite as resilient as the Appalachians when it comes to resisting the effects of an overheating world. You can see that pretty well here in areas that are not heavily urbanized. You see pockets of cooler weather. You see pockets of cooler weather both in higher elevations and where there's less urbanization. Even here in Western North Carolina, you see near city centers, the heat goes up. It's a heat island effect. It really does. What land management really is weather control. I can't even stress that enough. What we choose to do with land and what we build and how we build and what we farm and what we allow to grow is weather control. Like, people always want to think about planes putting out chemicals or people kind of using electromagnetic radiation to change the weather, but like, you don't need all that. It's very much obvious. It's so much easier to change the weather locally by creating a heat island effect, the city heat island effect, or by propagating and taking care of a densely vegetated forest. You can increase the resistance to big thermal swings by maintaining forest. And you can also make an area really hot if you plant nothing but concrete and non-native, decorative, maybe harmful or invasive plants that don't really do much for the water cycle or the nutrient cycle or the local flora or the local like insect and animal populations. Anyway, that's my soapbox is, I think people are way overcomplicating this climate change investigation debate. I think people need to realize that our choices of how we live in our communities and what we do with our buildings, cities, and pollution styles, and honestly, the effect of the albedo of our building materials, all of that contributes to soaring local temperatures. A place, even if the entire atmosphere on its own is heating up, you can resist the dramatic swings in those temperatures by preserving natural forest and reforestation, rewilding places. Anyway, where we don't have that going on, we see temperatures definitely closer to Death Valley, getting well over 110 degrees, maybe even closer to 120 there in one little stretch. But we're well over 100 degrees in the Southern California and Arizona regions. Even though we've still got precipitation going on out here, it's mostly at the higher elevations and then falling down to the lowlands. And even in areas where we've seen consistent rainfall, they are not cooling off. Like in southern Minnesota, where there's that dam break, it's in the 80s. It's well in the 80s. Yeah, anyway, that's my soapbox is, plant more trees. And I don't mean that for like, oh, they make oxygen. That's good too. But literally, if you plant a tree, you make shade. It is so obvious and simple sometimes. Like, literally planting a tree makes the air cooler because there's shade. I don't know how else to, like, and the transpiration from the leaves will also use ambient energy. You have to use ambient thermal energy in order to evaporate water, so that cools something down. So if there's something like a tree sweating, then it's going to want to put its heat into that chemical reaction, and there's so many reasons to reforest places as a way to fight climate change. Yeah. Anyway, howdy. I'm glad you watched my Valentine's stand-up. It was okay. I have better sets sometimes, but I hope to record more and put more of my sets on YouTube. I just keep forgetting to. I do voice notes for them a lot. Well, damn. I get it. You're talking about a dam. Okay. Let's go now to check our Schumann resonances, because I think yesterday and today we had some Yeah, yesterday we had some activity, all right. Boy, oh boy, that is maybe a local weather-related anomaly. Let's check out the um, weather at Tomsk recently. Because if they took some of the data out, they might have. Let's go back to the 23rd. Yeah, no, no weather to speak of. There's a little bit of clouds and lightning in the area, but not in Tomsk. So I'm going to say that this is actually a Schumann resonance download, a very, very strong vertical streak, and they took out some of the data because it probably looked like it wasn't good enough quality. In fact, let's look at the quality factor. Yeah. Very low quality factor, and then a dip in data. Let's look at our frequencies, what this has done to our frequencies. I had a feeling that the Schumann resonances did something crazy last night because I wasn't feeling up to making an episode, and that usually only happens when there's big energetic shifts in our atmosphere. Yeah, so with that big energetic shift, we really lost a lot of power, but we dropped in frequency, but our frequencies are still pretty high relatively. And then after the little break, they immediately jumped back up. And so, I mean, mode 1 even went all the way to 8.37 today. That's really high. And the amplitudes, oh yeah, that big burst got us up to 78, 55, 42, and 36. That is a lot. And then look at this. We've got 2 mode 4 spikes, where mode 4 usually has less amplitude than the others. This indicates a mode 4 specific spike. So let's see if we saw that on sonogram. Oh, I think I see that. Right there and there. That is so cool. Okay, let's take a look at our solar weather then. Ooh, buddy. CMEs are climbing back up again now that we have more active sunspot regions rotating onto the Earth-facing disk. On the 23rd, we went from 30 to 36. So we had 7 coronal mass ejections on the 23rd. None of them looked to register as complete halos, but I think that they are now Earth-facing-ish. Let's see. On the 24th, we went from 37 to 49. So we had 13 coronal mass ejections today. And one of those was a partial halo, a type 2. That is beautiful. Look at that. Oh, you love to see it. It looks like a launch of some, like blowing a bubble. I don't know. Really pretty difference image there. And pretty compact velocity range, but and angular range. Looking at from 180 to 270, 300, from 180 to 300 degrees. So that might have a chance of getting to us. Let's see if they've modeled it yet. Oh, I think this is from the sunspot regions that just rotated out of view. So they are going straight for Mars instead of us. It's kind of at a 90-degree angle to us. So doesn't look like we are going to see something fun from that. Let's see. interplanetary magnetic field is slightly south. Our hemispheric power is slightly up at 25 gigawatts. We've got a medium solar wind and density. Interplanetary magnetic field is mildly strong, but not really setting off the magnetometers. Let's see. We had some M flares, radio blackouts. Let's look at our flares. Oh, yeah, the 23rd. This was almost an X flare and might have been if it was more Earth directed. We had a M 9.36. 9.36 at 1300 UTC yesterday. And that is, let's see, that Schumann resonance burst happened when? This is UTC +7. So it happened. So this is 7 hours ahead of UTC. So we need to subtract 7 hours. And it started around 2300. So subtract 7 hours. That's like 1600 hours. So about 3 hours after this M 9.36, we did have that big Schumann precipitation event. I don't think that those could be timed such that they caused each other, but it looks like we've been having more consistent higher M flares, rates of M flares as well. Let's see, our real-time solar activity. Our solar protons look to be increasing a bit. It's not a whole lot, and we're not in proton storm territory yet, but we are increasing slightly. Let's see. This is our new complex-looking sun. This is our returning superstar sunspot regions. I expect a lot of good things from you, kid. You know, it is now region 3723. And then we have some other boring ones that are maybe alpha and beta types. Well, 320 is a beta gamma. 3713 is on its way out. It's a beta gamma type. 3723, it says it's a beta type, but I feel like as it rotates onto Earth-facing view, we're going to see some more complexity come out. Let's see if we can see these CMEs on the coronagraph imagery. There's Venus. Beautiful. Yeah, as soon as this rotated out of view, it let loose. Ah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, right as it's not going to do anything to the Earth. I mean, I shouldn't complain. Maybe it would be very devastating if it had hurt Earth, and I should be grateful it didn't. Let's go to our planetary weather. Okay, planetary weather for today. It is a moon day. We started this broadcast in a moon hour. It is now a Saturn hour. We have the sun applying to, no, it's a separating from a conjunction with Venus and square to Neptune. Mercury and Venus are no longer conjunct. We have the moon in Aquarius that just conjoined Pluto last night. Maybe that was coincident with some of these coronal mass ejections or Schumann precipitation events. I don't know. Ion precipitation events. I mean, Schumann resonance bursts. Mercury is moving into a trine aspect with Saturn in Pisces, while it is Mercury's at 16 degrees of Cancer and Saturn is at 19 degrees of Pisces. So probably going to be able to voice your maternal instincts, your Cancer leader of emotions. Probably able to whip into shape the discipline needed here from Saturn and Pisces. Then we've got Mars booking it through Taurus, now in the second decan of Taurus at 11 degrees, making a square to the moon in Aquarius. So moon square Mars is a kind of uncomfortable aspect. It can be very hard to materially manifest action if your body doesn't feel like it. And this is probably, you're probably going to feel tension between what your body can do and what you want to manifest today. Because you got really lofty ideas. You got lofty Aquarian ideas about what you should be able to accomplish. And Mars in Taurus is very grounded in its fall, very aware of what it's like to be sedentary. So we're kind of chilling out, but like we feel restless. Yeah. I think that's all I want to say about that today. Oh, and Mars is sextile Venus in Cancer. So Mars at 11 degrees Taurus is sextile Venus at 9 degrees of Cancer. So that is our planetary weather today. Now, coming back. You're feeling it too, I understand. You're a Pisces, I'm a Taurus, of course. Aquarius always have ideas. Yes, that is a fixed air sign. That means always have ideas, I think. I'm glad you're a Pisces because I love Pisces. Yeah, I'm a sweet baby Taurus. I'm also a little bit of all the worst things about Taurus too. Little bit lazy and gluttonous, but really just a sweetie pie, but also might argue with you forever. The world needs crazy emotional bitches. If that's how you choose to identify, then but smart. Absolutely. Those two things are not opposite. In fact, sometimes people are crazy emotional because they are so smart. Being too smart will make you really upset. Just water always flowing. That's mutable water is beautiful. I have a Pisces moon too, so it's there was some other viewers a few weeks ago, like maybe a month ago. I had some other regular viewers and we went over my chart live on the stream, but I haven't seen them back in a while. So I wonder where they went. I think I didn't upload for a few days in a row and they stopped coming. So maybe they'll come back, but we can dive into my chart someday if you want to. I've got another episode somewhere that has my chart reading in it. It's complicated. I bet so. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at the tarot of the wild unknown again. I don't know why this one's calling to me so much lately, but I want to do this one again. ASMR. Box ASMR. I got this little piece of labradorite with this one. It's like almost clear. Got a really good flash. I showed it yesterday on camera, but it is like so thin that it's almost see-through when you hold it up to the light. It's really pretty. Okay. It comes in a really nice box that's like boxes of boxes. I like this one a lot. And we use this for the cosmic weather portion. If anyone's tuning in has never seen this show before, this is the part of the show where we get a vibe forecast, or really a vibe report from the universe of everything that we can't currently perceive through the scientific method. Everything beyond what we can establish through scientific means, we use the cards to get a vibe check on. All right. And I got plenty of freedom to shuffle today, so let's hear that. Nice. Heavily mic'd up card shuffling. Let's see, what was the energy coming in from the cosmos today? Please tell us what went on. What came in? What was the whole deal for, I guess, yesterday and today? What's all this? What's all this then? What's all this about? Can I get a first card for yesterday? I think that's it. The Mother of Swords, the Queen of Swords. That's yesterday. Let's get another one for today, and then a third one for synthesis. Okay. Oh. This is a lot. I think I'm going to take I guess I'll take all of them. Today's card was Justice. And the synthesis cards coming out are the Seven of Wands and reversed, and the Sun reversed. So, Seven of Wands and Sun reversed means we are probably... This is a challenging aspect. This reminds me a lot of that Mars square moon that we had today. I really think that Seven of Wands reversed, it's not a very positive card in the upright position. Maybe we are either doing this to ourselves, deception in action, or some sort of unsustainable prime number type change, a 7 energy. With the fire wand suit upside down. It's actually, I'm going to get out my interpretation book for this one. I've been liking reading the interpretations recently. Seven of Wands upright is courage, inner strength. A single wand stands up tall, ablaze with light. The others fall away in shadow. Such is the story of the Seven Wands. You will not find any strength or support from others, only yourself. It's time to be truly courageous and stand up for your beliefs. You may feel overwhelmed with caution and fear, but your internal fire will guide the way. We've got this in the reverse position. So maybe we're really having to find our inner light before we can even enact this in the world. There seems to be a blockage of this energy, something that is being held back there. I say that because when it's paired with the sun in reverse, I feel like that is, again, digging deep into your soul, your essence, your solar plexus. There might be a blockage in, honestly, between the solar plexus, heart, and throat, because we've got the Mother of Swords upright and Justice upright along with this. And I'm feeling like Justice is a very analytical card to make things right. It's using logic to try to alleviate emotions. It's clean and cut and dry, but also a little messy in that it can't make emotional decisions. So it ends up being an emotional experience to go through the justice process. Let's see what this book describes justice as. Here we go. Decisions and karma. With tails entwined, two cats look differently at you, waiting for you to choose between them. Which is right and which is wrong? The justice card implies a weight or heaviness surrounding a choice you have to make. Now is not the time to shun the concept of divine balance or karma. All of your choices affect your life and sometimes the lives of those around you, both now and in the future. Pair that with the Mother of Swords. The Justice card was our card for today, and Mother of Swords or Queen of Swords is our card for yesterday. And we also have a sword on the Justice card. I think that is a good indication that it's also associated with Libra sometimes, and the traditional illustration on the Rider-Waite Tarot involves a lot of airy Libran energies, including the scales. And the Mother of Swords here is sharp and perceptive. I like this one because it's got animals, and the swords royal suits are owls. And I think that is so accurate for the swords. You'll often find the Mother of Swords putting her sharp perceptions to use as a therapist, doctor, or teacher. She's extremely experienced and knowledgeable in her field. Some think of her as all-seeing. This card can sometimes represent a woman going through a difficult time. She may be recently widowed or divorced, and usually without children. During this time, there's potential for her criticism to soar. Okay, so I'm feeling inner critic is holding us back from shining our light a little bit. Maybe even self-sabotage, honestly, when it comes to the sun in reverse. I'm feeling that you don't feel like you deserve to take up space. You don't feel like you deserve to shine your light. Or you're trying to practice gratitude so hard that you forget that things could be even better. Or that maybe you deserve better, or maybe it's not about deserving. Maybe stop that inner critic, and we'll be able to get these two upright. They really put a positive spin on the Seven of Wands in this deck interpretation, which I think I love. You know, I think I like that a lot. And the Sun is such a pretty card, but it is, we got to find the Sun in ourselves, really going within, before we can, this is the little fire, this is the little light that's burning here that needs to be shown. And we have to choose. This is a heavy choice to allow ourselves the grace to expand. Hi, Travis. I'm glad you're a Taurus. Welcome to the show. I don't know if I've seen you in the chat before, but welcome. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, that's heavy. I feel like a lot of us women in the world, or women adjacent people in touch with their femininity at all, we're going through a lot right now as we feel the changing of the earth, and it can be hard to separate your dislike of what humanity is doing to the earth from your identity as a human. Trying to get your ego out of it, of your condemnation of human actions, is really hard, because the way that we get out of this is by shining our light and being the people we're supposed to be, being the unique, individuated people who go back to unity consciousness that we were put here to be. But in order to shine this light, you have to build up the sun energy. You have to actually believe you are worthy of being such a delightful, abundant person that you can embody that energy of shining. And that's a choice you have to make within yourself. You have to choose to allow in abundance. You have to choose to let go of your old stuff, your old programming of thinking that humans are bad. I'm a human, so I'm bad. That's actually how we got in this mess. Is self-hate and controlling people through hate complexes and siphoning off negative emotions. That's how we got in this mess. We're not going to get out of it by hating ourselves more. We have to love ourselves. And that's a really hard choice to make when everything points to, oh, these are the ways I fuck up all the time. Actually, fucking up doesn't make you unworthy of being or loving. It actually makes you more powerful. Just sometimes the more powerful you are, the more often you fuck up. And that's also feels bad. But yeah, I'm going to cut myself some slack. I hope you can cut yourself some slack too. Maybe spend a little time focusing on letting in more abundance and allowing yourself the fuel and resources you need to shine brightly. All right. Yeah, so I am so glad that y'all are here. Travis, welcome to our little crew. We do this every night around 11 o'clock Eastern. I've been Cloud Hudson for today's weather tonight, and I will see you all tomorrow evening. Have a great night. Goodbye.